So we know that the United States is built on indigenous land, and tens of millions of acres of that land were ceded by tribal nations during treaty times in exchange for services, things like healthcare, housing, education, public safety. And today we call that the federal government's trust responsibility to tribal nations. And the way that the government makes good on those promises in the modern day is through these programs that we've been talking about, funding and services provided under the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Bureau of Indian Education, and the Indian Health Service, even when the government is shut down. And because the federal government's treaty responsibilities are actually enshrined in the Constitution, Article 6 calls them the supreme law of the land. There's an argument to be made that the federal government is actually breaking the law when it suspends services to tribal nations. The tribal leaders I've been talking to say they were pretty prepared for this shutdown. We knew that there was an impasse coming. We knew it might lead to a shutdown. And so they've been able, through preparation and advocacy, to avoid some of the worst possible outcomes. But there is still a lot of funding that would typically be flowing into tribal communities that isn't right now. And that means tribal leaders have to make hard choices about which programs are essential and really need those resources. Think tribal police, fire, maybe the food distribution program. And then think about other programs that can go without for a while. That might be the Historic Preservation Department shutting down, or maybe the Visitors and Tourism Center. Maybe it's higher education support. We know that federal workers are already seeing the impact of short paychecks since the start of the shutdown. Some tribal communities, not all, are pretty rural, pretty low income. There might not be a lot of job opportunities. So it's not uncommon for, let's say, a Bureau of Indian Affairs police officer's federal paycheck to be supporting a whole extended family. So the impacts are far-reaching, and they're going to get worse the longer this shutdown goes on.